Welcome back to StabtheDragon Productions, episode number 94, as we continue the Texas Whiskey Tournament Rye Division. We're in the first round of this double elimination tournament, and I've had two upsets in a row. In our first contest between Acre Texas Rye at 80 proof and Blackland Rye at 83 proof, I picked the Acre Rye to win. But Blackland stepped up and beat Acre due to having a richer rye flavor and a lower cost with greater availability. Last time we met, Oak&Eden Rye and Spire was favored to win over Lockwood Rye, both fighting at 90 proof. But the Lockwood came from behind with a very complex tasting profile, a deeper rye spice, and a lower cost. So, 2 weeks in a row, the underdog has won. This week, we have another Oak&Eden product, Rye&Rahr. Rahr is a Fort Worth brewery, my favorite brewery, by the way. And Oak&Eden has their Spire soaked in Rahr's Dadgum IPA beer. So this whiskey is not one of Oak&Eden's core lineup. This is a limited release, I think, in the Texas and Oklahoma area, according to one review site, whiskeyconsensus.com. But I do know that this whiskey was nowhere on the Oak&Eden website. So apparently they don't list their special limited releases. And, considering the popularity of Rahr beer here in the area, it kind of makes sense that you would release a Rahr soaked or a Rahr finished whiskey here in the area in which Rahr beer is popular, and you wouldn't release this in other parts of the country. So that makes sense. This is a 90 proof whiskey, distilled in Indiana, I think, according to the website. That's the majority of where they distill their stuff, and I think it's aged about 2 years, again according to the website. But it is inspired and bottled in Lewisville, Texas, about 35 miles from here. So maybe you can see the Spire in there. Maybe not. So, in the other corner, fighting out of Moore, Oklahoma, we have Leadslingers Fighting Spirit Rye coming to us from the Scissortail Distillery in Moore, Oklahoma, fighting at 90 proof. Now, I do not have an age statement on this whiskey, but some things I've read seem to indicate that it is very young, like maybe 6 months young, okay, under a year. Now, one of the Leadslingers founders is a Texan, and that's why that's one reason why I'm including this in the Texas Whiskey Tournament. And his name is Matt Best. Matt Best is also the founder of Black Rifle Coffee, Article 15 Clothing. So notice there's a military theme there. And you can just look at the bottle there and you see kind of a World War II soldier with an M1 Garand with a bayonet fixed, Fighting Spirit Rye. And then in the back of the bottle, you can sort of see it a little bit. If I can turn it just the right way there, you can see it. It's a come and take it flag from Texas. So, there are Texas roots in this whiskey. Matt Best is also the author of this book, Thank You for My Service by Matt Best. He is also an entertainer. He's got a lot of music videos out there that are just hilarious. I mean, he's funny. Okay, so at any rate, I include this in the Texas Whiskey Tournament because of Matt Best being a Texan. And also, I am physically located closer to Moore, Oklahoma and Scissortail Distillery than I am to, I think, San Antonio and Houston, both. So, so if I'm doing Texas whiskeys, I kind of look for some things to maybe stretch the boundaries a little bit. I grew up in Oklahoma. I went to school at OU, which is just down the highway, about 20 minutes from Moore, Oklahoma. So, at any rate, this is a very cool bottle. I really enjoy Leadslingers Spirits bottles. So that's why we're doing Leadslingers here in the competition. Now, who's favored to win this contest? I'm favoring Leadslingers Rye. It's been a favorite of mine for a couple of years, ever since I started drinking rye whiskeys. Leadslingers really made an impact on me. I mean, I think, boy, it's just a tasty rye. However, this Rahr-soaked Oak&Eden is a recent addition, and it made a very positive impression on the neck pour, which is unusual for me. But I'm going to go ahead and give the advantage to Leadslingers, but it's going to be close. Now, I don't have a mash bill on either of these whiskeys, but I do have the cost breakdown. And when I was doing the review of Leadslingers a couple of years ago, it was impossible to find a mash bill for this. For the bourbon, it did say they used Oklahoma grain for 90% of it, so I don't know. I know a lot of whiskeys here in Texas use Oklahoma rye, so there you go. But here's the cost breakdown. Leadslingers I can only find at specs on the website. Websites might be wrong. This is $30.52. Oak&Eden Rye&Rahr is also only listed at the specs website for $47.34. That's a big price differential, and this large of a price differential kind of raises a question about how to conduct a whiskey tournament or a flight fight or simple comparison of a couple of whiskeys. Do you match up whiskeys according to proof or price range or even age? I've chosen proof as the way to match up my whiskeys, and that actually should show something about, hey, if you're paying a lot for some special whiskey and a cheaper whiskey of the same proof beats it out, that's something you can learn. So that's what I've chosen to make my matches according to proof as much as possible. Eventually, though, in the tournament, see, I'm starting with the lower proofs, okay, and then I'm working my way up to the higher proofs. And so eventually there's going to come a time when a low proof is going to meet a high proof at the next level of the tournament. So on to today's competition. Now, when I reviewed Leadslingers before Veterans Day of 2021, I gave it a score of 82 points and a letter grade of A-. And again, my letter grades focus on flavor. My point system focuses on everything from the history, the marketing, the bottle, just everything. So that's why the letter grade is usually much higher than the point score. But I did not review Oak&Eden Rahr. This is a new whiskey to me. I have not got a review out on this, and I may not because I'm focused on the tournament now. So here, let's do a visual comparison. In my left hand, which is to your right, is the Leadslingers. And then in my right hand, which is going to be to your left, I've got the Oak&Eden. So you can immediately tell that there's a visual distinction between the two. The Leadslingers, not even aged for a year, is much lighter in color. The Oak&Eden, that's supposedly aged for at least 2 years, is darker in color. Plus, you've got that Spire that goes into the whiskey by Oak&Eden. So yeah, it comes out much darker. So just the appearance, Leadslingers is kind of a light straw maybe with a hint of amber for number 3 on my rating scheme, whereas the rich amber color of the Oak&Eden is going to be about a number 4. It's a little bit light for a 4, but that'll work. So now let's do the nosing. Right away, Leadslingers has a very pleasant rye note on the nose. I mean, this is one of the distinguishing features of Leadslingers for when I did the reviews. It's got a very pleasant nose, noticeable. My nose is terrible. I have a very ineffective nose. Bourbons, usually I can't smell at all, but ryes I can usually smell. So yeah, that's a very nice rye spice on the nose. Let's go now to the Oak and Eden. Not much of a smell at all. Very, very faint. Nothing, nowhere near as rich as the Leadslinger's nose. I'm getting some darker fruit hints on the nose, actually. No rye. This is a little bit flowery. You know, keep in mind what the Rahr does. It's an IPA, so heavy on the hops with that beer that the Spire is soaked in. And that may be what I'm getting, is the hops. But clearly the Leadslingers wins the nosing area. Time for the taste. The all-important taste. Wow. That's just one of my favorite ryes. To be so young, but to have such a rich rye flavor. Now, it's not rye bread. Some people get rye bread. I very rarely get a rye bread flavor out of a rye. This is more of a spice note, and it's got a spice tingle as well. I mean, this is a spicy rye, which is one reason I love ryes. Yeah, that's just, wow, that's good. Definitely strong on the rye flavor going on there. So let me pull up a Topo Chico to clean my palate. That helps keep things fair. Now we're going to go for the Oak and Eden Rahr soaked Spire IPA. Now that's really good. It's got a good mouthfeel. It's got rich flavors, but you know what? I'm getting quite a bit of the beer flavor on here. That's interesting. I mean, it's delicious. It's interesting. I'm getting that Rahr hopped, the Deadgum IPA. I can get that. Now, if I didn't know that's what that bottle was, would I be able to find that flavor? Maybe not. Probably not. I'm not a pro at this. But because I knew what to look for there, I got it. Oh, definitely. So the rye flavor is in the background. And in the foreground, I'm getting that Rahr beer flavor. And they blend well together. I mean, this is not spiky. It's not out of balance. And this is a very nicely balanced whiskey. But the rye flavor is definitely in the background. And the Rahr is coming out strong. It's also not as peppery as the Leadslingers. So it's a smoother drink. Now, I tend to like the peppery things about a rye. I like the burn, and Leadslingers had a little bit more of a burn, for sure. So, you know, smooth is nice. I like smooth whiskeys, but I tend to prefer the whiskeys that burn me a little bit. Okay, so I think that, you know, this is not a totally blind thing. I mean, I know what two whiskeys I'm drinking here. And so I kind of know what to expect. I've got experience with the Leadslingers. The Rahr Oak&Eden is new to me, but I've had the beer, so I know what to expect. So, you know, this is not as scientific as it could be, but I clearly know the difference by taste. You know, if you set these two whiskeys down and it was totally blind, I could probably pick out these two. They're very different. So for the winner, I'm going to choose Leadslingers Rye, Fighting Spirit Rye, because it's got a stronger rye spice and more sparkle to it, more peppery notes to it. This has got what I'm looking for in a rye whiskey. Coming in as the loser, or second place, however you want to decide, the Oak&Eden Rahr. This is still a fantastic whiskey. I mean, this is what makes this hard, is that both of these whiskeys I would never turn down. I mean, and this one, see, now, this Oak&Eden whiskey, it's going to be able to compete in 3 different categories, right? Right now, today, it's competing in the rye category. But guess what? This is a finished whiskey with that Spire in there. This is a finished whiskey. So when I do the finished whiskeys category, this gets to compete again. And then when I do the almost Texas whiskeys, both of these will compete again, because Leadslingers is from Oklahoma, Oak&Eden, the whiskey, is from Indiana. So Oak&Eden gets 3 competitions and Leadslingers is going to get 2. But for today, Leadslingers is definitely the winner, okay, because of what I'm looking for. And then if you consider the price differential, that's also a heck of a deal, because Oak&Eden is about $17 more expensive per bottle than the Leadslingers. That's a substantial difference, okay? So winner, without a doubt, Matt Best. You've provided an excellent product here. Scissortail Distillery in Moore, Oklahoma, you did well, okay? So this Fighting Spirit Rye by Leadslingers is the winner. In conclusion, thank you for watching Stab the Dragon, episode number 94, as we continue this whiskey tournament. Next week, we're going to be looking at Herman Marshall Rye 92. It's a 92 proof, Herman Marshall Rye. But the competitor might be, well, I don't have the other competitor. I'm going to have to buy one more whiskey, one more Texas Rye, because I've got, you know, an odd number, and I need something else at lower proof. So it could end up being Devil's River Rye. It might be Yellow Rose. So either San Antonio or Houston products. So we'll see which we end up with next time. And these aren't coming out necessarily weekly because of my work schedule, and a lot of other factors come in. Sometimes it's a 10-day or 2-week between episodes, and that's okay. So for right now, if you're going to drink a rye whiskey, I'm recommending Leadslingers Fighting Spirit Rye. Cheers. If you drink, don't drive. Be safe. And we will see you next time on Stab the Dragon. Out here.